The NFL season is officially upon us. The Green Bay Packers have officially traded for Micah Parsons, and the Philadelphia Eagles looking to defend their Super Bowl championship. Hello, everybody. We welcome you to another edition of Snap the Pigskin. I'm Noah Clark. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. Week 1 of the NFL regular season is less than a few days away. This episode hopefully is going to be dropping tomorrow on Thursday. We got some stuff that we got to cover. Micah Parsons, the Micah Parsons trade, how big of a trade that is, along with Jerry Jones, our division winners, and our division winners from the AFC and the NFC, along with playoff predictions, and our Super Bowl champion, as well as our Pigskin Primetime picks, the first ones of the year. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. As we start with the weekly headline, and the weekly headline is the biggest headline of them all. It has been the biggest talk through this last week and a half. The Green Bay Packers officially trading for Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys. I'm talking about this with Kedrick Stumbris a few weeks ago. Talks had kind of stalled for Micah Parsons to try and get a contract extension from the Dallas Cowboys. Mind you, these talks started all the way back in February when the season ended. Here we are now in August when the regular season is just a month away, literally right around the corner. And all of a sudden, Micah Parsons not getting the same deal from Jerry Jones that he was once promised back in February. Fast forward to now, he gets traded to the Green Bay Packers. And not only does he get traded to the Green Bay Packers, he gets signed a massive, massive deal with Dallas, or with Green Bay. He gets signed a 4-year, $180 million contract with a $136 million guarantee in his 4 years. And he is the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Now, mind you, think for a sec. This title of the highest non-paid quarterback got switched 4 separate times this season. TJ Watt being the last one. Micah Parsons really resetting the market here again for non-quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs. And now at this point again, the pass rushers resetting the market. Who's going to be that next person to reset the market? We'll find out later on as the season goes on, or as maybe next offseason. Who's going to get paid? There's a few people who out there who are looking to get paid. As of right now, Lamar Jackson looking to get paid again. He's got a few years left on his contract deal. And there was news out there today that he would be getting maybe a look at his contract, maybe a possible contract extension. Keep in mind, this is a guy who's been to the playoffs and has won a few playoff games. Still hasn't got a Super Bowl, though, but Patrick Mahomes has. So, back to where we were at with Micah Parsons. This is a huge trade in itself because of what the Cowboys got back for Micah Parsons in exchange, for the Micah Parsons deal. The Dallas Cowboys get 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. And that's about it. Pretty much it. Dallas, kind of in this sense, really didn't do much to try and sweeten their deal. I, as a Packers fan, were kind of surprised when I heard that this was a deal that didn't feature 2 second-round picks. And I was shocked at how they didn't give up 2 second-round picks. Because you look at a guy like Micah Parsons and what he's done over his career, he is worth 2 day 1 and 2 day 2 picks. Not just 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. And no disrespect to Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is going to be a Packer for life in my eyes. But this is a deal for Jerry Jones where I think he could have got way more for that. And we'll talk more about Jerry Jones. But let me start with the good news of it all as a Packer fan and as any Green Bay Packers fan, talking about the Green Bay Packers and how big of a deal this is with them getting Micah Parsons. It's a huge deal for them getting Micah Parsons because you get Micah Parsons for one. That's the most obvious thing. But the other big thing is you add pass rush depth. This was a team, mind you, last year that struggled in that category, struggled mightily with just a standard 4-man rush. They struggled last year with a 4-man rush. They could not get after the quarterback with a standard 4 guys. They needed somebody to step up. They couldn't find that last year. Now you look at this whole offseason. What happened this whole offseason? Well, they didn't get an edge rusher. They, in free agency, they did get an edge rusher in the draft. Barron Sorrell, I think, could be pretty good. He did have a really good camp. He did have a really good preseason before he got hurt in the preseason. But still, Packers fans were clamoring for a pass rusher. And just weeks ago, they got word that Micah Parsons might be coming to the Packers. And that rumor turned out to be true. Now, with Micah Parsons coming to Green Bay, there is a lot of buzz with that defense now because not only do you get Micah Parsons, but you add Micah Parsons to a defense that already is relatively good and relatively is pretty scary. Now, with the addition of Micah Parsons, you already have Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness is there, Kingsley Enagbare is there. You have Barron Sorrell, the rookie, who did a really good job last year. You also look on the inside with Carl Brooks, Devontae Wyatt, Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson. They have guys on the inside that can get after the pass rusher. And on top of that now, if you're Rashawn Gary, this is just Christmas coming early for you because now you won't see any of the double teams coming your way because the double teams will be going to Micah Parsons. So it really is a problem for a lot of offenses to try and game plan against this team because they have several good pass rushers that can get after you. That's what's huge for the Green Bay Packers. And on top of that, too, you look at with Green Bay, they did something also that is been kind of a side note. They brought back the number 1 for Micah Parsons, the last person to ever wear the number 1 jersey. And I'll give you a guess. Not many people will get this. Probably nobody will get this if you're my age. But the last player to wear number 1 was Curly Lambeau. Curly Lambeau, the guy who built the guy whose name is on the stadium, the guy who founded the Green Bay Packers, who was the first coach of the Green Bay Packers. They took his number. That number has not been worn since 1928. That should tell you all you need to know. On top of that, too, side note, Matthew Golden's wearing the number 0, which is kind of insane because I don't think we'd ever in any NFL history, especially Packers history, see a player wear the number 0. But Micah Parsons but it's huge for Micah Parsons coming to the Packers. It's huge for the Packers because they get their pass rusher. Not only they get their pass rusher, they get their elite pass rusher. Mind you, this is a guy in Micah Parsons who is only the second player. He's the second player in NFL history with at least 12 sacks in each of his first 4 seasons. Do you know who the other player was before that? Reggie White. Pretty good class to be in if you're a Packers fan, if you're a pass rushing fan as well. Now, on the other side of this deal, the Dallas Cowboys. What does this mean for Dallas, per se? What does this deal mean for Dallas? And there was a lot, I listening to it throughout the whole week and looking through it through Twitter and just hearing all this stuff about the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, and Jerry botched this trade. Jerry could have got more out of this trade. Honestly, Cowboys fans are right. Cowboys fans are 100% right. And it's funny too, because when I heard the Micah Parsons deal, when I first got the news the Micah Parsons deal was going down, I was watching the Cowboys documentary on Netflix, and they were talking about Jerry Jones. And the way that this Cowboys documentary was portrayed, it kind of was portrayed more towards Jerry and just Jerry's ego. And it was portrayed to more of Jerry being the savior that saved the Cowboys and him being the major part of it. But we have to remember, and I think a lot of Cowboys fans could tell you this, and a lot of Cowboys media members could tell you this, but it's Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was the reason that the Cowboys got back-to-back Super Bowls, and they're still paying for it. So fast forward to today, Jerry's ego got in the way of business. And when Jerry's ego got in the way of business, this is the end result. It's the end result. And Cowboy fans should not be happy about this. They lost a guy who really wanted to be here in Dallas in the first place. He wanted to be a Cowboy. He wanted to be wearing the star on his head for the rest of his career. But now you look, that's not going to happen. And even if it were to happen, let's say if Micah Parsons plays out his deal in Green Bay doesn't re-sign him, and he goes and he wants to come back to Dallas. Jerry Jones is not going to say anything. He ain't going to say nothing. And I think that's a disappointing thing for Cowboys fans. They had a guy who was probably the best defensive player, the best pass rusher that they had ever seen since DeMarcus Ware. And Jerry Jones let him out the door with his ego, with his ego, with him not being able to get this thing, fixed and get this thing patched up when it should have been patched up back in February. And now here we are. He's a Green Bay Packer. And I feel bad sometimes for the Cowboys. I do. But the other side of me thinks that this is just another kind of check mark of the long list of bad things that have happened in the history of the Cowboys. And on top of that, too, the draft capital they got is ridiculously useless. I mean, Green Bay, you look at Green Bay every year, they make the playoffs. They are at least picking in the teens when they don't make the playoffs because they still get at least 9-8 wins. They're picking in the teens. So Jerry's 2 first-round picks that he got are completely useless unless if you're trying to trade up and go and get somebody in the top part of the draft. But other than that, it really just looks like a bad trade. And on top of that, with the addition of Kenny Clark, I mean, Jerry Jones said, yeah, we needed a guy to stop the run. We needed a guy to stop the run. We needed a guy to stop the run because, yeah, their run defense has been atrocious. You don't need to give up Micah Parsons to go and get that. And even, too, with Kenny Clark, he's coming off an injury last year, and he had his worst year statistically as a Green Bay Packer in terms of Pro Football Focus grades. So, in a way, Dallas just kind of got screwed. Jerry Jones and this Cowboys team, again, just and even with Jerry Jones, he can simply not get out of his own way. He can't. And that's the shameful part about this is because, he wanted to be here. Micah Parsons wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. And when a guy says that, you should do anything in your power to get that deal done. And they didn't. They did not. And that's the sad part. But it's going to be fun week one. If you're watching week one, and if Micah Parsons is out there, it sounds like he's going to be out there. He came in. There was news that he had a back injury, but from what I've heard from other people, at least scrolling through the Twitterverse and scrolling through news articles, it sounds like that Micah Parsons injury, the back injury, isn't as serious as it is, but also still he's toughing it out. And there was a back injury involved. A lot of people, when the rumors started to come out, he had a back injury, he's going to hold out because of a back injury. Nobody thought that there was one. Well, there apparently was one. So now he's just kind of, now he's coming to Green Bay. And this is the thing that I talked with a good friend of mine, who I talked about this, and I was worried about it at first because I was like, he's dealing with a back injury. But he even said too, is that Green Bay would have not traded for him if they didn't know his back injury. So there's that. So expect him. I'm hoping that he'll be out there week one. That's what I'm hoping, but who knows? We will see. And they got Detroit. That'll be a fun, very fun week one game for them to watch. I truly cannot wait. If you're a fan that just loves cinema and loves dramatics, this is going to be a great game for dramatics. So moving on to our next weekly headline, moving on to our second one. We only got 2 today. Next week, once we jump into our drives of the week, we're going to get into more of what we do here on this show and what we do usually throughout. So we still have a whole week. We still got a whole Sunday, well, actually Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday slate of games to cover. This is another big one. Saquon Barkley named the number 1 player of 2025 out of the top 100 players list. The NFL and NFL Network does this every year, where they do a show that is picked by the players who should be number 1, picked by the players, voted by the players. And Saquon Barkley came out at number 1 on the top 100 list. And mind you, Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal year, and I still can't believe the Giants let this guy go for Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley had a record-setting year. He could have easily smashed the single-season rushing record, which has been held by Eric Dickerson for many, many decades now, and he could have smashed that. He didn't choose to break that record, but Saquon Barkley had an incredible regular season, incredible playoff run for the Philadelphia Eagles, which culminated to a Super Bowl championship, the second in this Eagles team's history. Congrats to Saquon Barkley, and congrats to the Philadelphia Eagles for their incredible season. Will they go back-to-back? I will let you know this right now. That is a quick headline. Let's jump into now our regular season predictions, because we got a lot to talk about with these regular season predictions, with all that's going on, especially with the regular season starting Thursday night. Eagles going up against the Cowboys at the Link. That'll be very, very fun stuff. And on top of that, too, Chiefs Chargers in Brazil. Another fun game. Brazil games have not looked. It does not look like, though, Brazil will be a destination for further NFL games moving forward, as we saw last year in the debacle of the Eagles-Packers game. So, but regular season predictions, usually every year we always try to give our predictions here on this show. I try to give my predictions. Kadrick gave predictions last year. Sam Jamini gave predictions last year. Now you get to personally hear from me what my predictions are going to be for this year. So it is we start with the AFC, we start with the division winners, and here are the division winners for the AFC. The Chiefs winning the AFC West, the Bills winning the East, the Ravens winning the North, and the Texans winning the South. The Ravens, to me, most complete team in the AFC, maybe the NFL. They're right behind the Philadelphia Eagles as being one of the more complete teams in all of football. This was a toss-up too for the Ravens. It, for me, was tough because you look at the Bengals. The Bengals did get rid of Lou Anarumo, and they brought in Al Golden. But you also look, on the defensive side, so that maybe the defense will be better. On the offensive side, you still have Joe Burrow. You still have a really good quarterback. And mind you, and even too, last year, how amazing they were. How amazing they were that they were on the doorsteps of making it to the playoffs, and they just needed another game or another point, another play here. They probably could have been in the playoffs. They could have made some noise. So Cincinnati, to me, they look like a really good team to watch in the AFC. And then obviously the Texans, which you look at the Houston Texans. Houston, to me, I think plays in one of the weaker divisions in all of football. They play in one of the weaker divisions in all of football. They play in the AFC South. And the AFC South, in the words of Peter Bukowski, it's like a streaming app that nobody watches. Basically, it's like a streaming app that I'm not going to purchase at all. Not going to purchase it at all. So I just, I see the Texans obviously making it because you look at around the division is pretty bad. You look at with the Colts, Daniel Jones being the starting quarterback. How is that going to fare? The Titans with Cam Ward and the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence has a new head coach in Liam Cohn. The Titans have a new quarterback in Cam Ward, and the Colts don't even have a quarterback at all. So really it's the Texans' division to lose right now because their team is really good. On the offensive side with CJ Stroud, they have the quarterback in place. They have some wide receivers in place. The offensive line is one of the bigger concerns for this Texan team. The defense, though, is what's going to make this, is why I have them as a division winners, because under D'Amico Ryans last year, they were really a dominant defense, and they got even better on the defensive side. So Texans, in my mind, top of the AFC South. And I shouldn't be giving them that much praise, but they are your division winner. So NFC winners, though, it seemed like this one was a lot easier for me to choose. The NFC this year, I got the Eagles, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Packers. Everybody wants to talk about the San Francisco 49ers being a team that's very threatening. Yes, you look at their strength of schedule this year. It's a lot weaker. So it could be the same thing that we saw from the 2019 Niners, where their schedule is just super weak, but they outplayed their schedule, and it basically got them enough momentum to get into the playoffs and get into the Super Bowl. I could see that happening again. Unfortunately, the Rams right now, best team in the division. And it's not even close. Keep in mind, they won the division last year. They won the NFC West last year to get into the playoffs. Matthew Stafford is maybe healthy. If he is healthy, this is a team that is really good, really scary. And you have Sean McVay as your head coach. With Sean McVay, he's really good. He's a really incredible head coach. He knows how to scheme. He knows how to do things well. Knows how to develop, especially quarterbacks. And I think when you look around the NFC West, the Cardinals, I think maybe are just a year or two away. I don't think that they have it just yet. It's going to be a big year for Kyler Murray, though, because last year played a full season, didn't pan out really well. The last several seasons, 3 out of the last 4 seasons, he hasn't been healthy. So that's been one issue. But now this is a big year for Kyler Murray. The Seattle Seahawks, who knows what Seattle's going to be? They got rid of DK Metcalf. They also lose Tyler Lockett. They get rid of Geno Smith. Hooray, you get the quarterback position figured out. You get Sam Darnold, but you lose DK Metcalf. So I think that they could take a step back on the offensive side. And I think and the Rams, I think just right now, they are the most complete team in the NFC West. Most complete team in the NFC West by far. No chance. The Bucs, too. Bucs kind of really are going to outrun the competition. Yes, they've gone through another OC, but Tampa Bay, with their roster and with what they've done over the last few years, especially last year, they had the highest scoring team in Tampa Bay's history with Baker Mayfield. They were a top 5 offense, top 3 offense last year, and they made the playoffs. They won the division. I could see them, really kind of running away with this division early. I don't think, and even too with the Falcons, I think Atlanta does make some noise early on. I just don't think that Atlanta makes noise enough to win that division title. Now, last year, they swept the Bucs twice last year in the South, but they lost the division title because Tampa Bay had more wins. I could see that, if that happens again, it probably could be the same scenario where Tampa Bay just wins a lot more games. Eagles outright, I think the Commanders will be close. The Commanders will make this a close division. They'll make it a very, very close division. I don't think, as much as I think Jaden Daniels, and how much I love Jaden Daniels, and yes, they got Terry McLaurin back, which is huge. I don't see this team, this Commanders team, trying to keep up with the Eagles. The Eagles are just loaded. They're stacked on both sides of the ball. So for the first time in a long time, you're going to have a back-to-back division playoff winner in the NFC East, in the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the last one is the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers were the hardest one to me at first because I kept flip-flopping back between Green Bay and Minnesota. Is Detroit a throw in there? But when they got Micah Parsons, honestly, everything flipped. Once they got Micah Parsons, instant division winners. And it's not even close. They are better than the Lions now. They're better than the Vikings, slightly better than the Vikings on the defensive side. Offensive side, they're way better than the Vikings on the offensive side, at least right now. I have Green Bay winning this division because the Micah Parsons trade really is a franchise-altering, division-altering trade that's going to get Green Bay hopefully over the hump. In this division. Now, in terms of the playoff bracket, here's who I got for playoff teams. The playoff bracket, at least in the AFC, the Broncos right now have the 7 seed. We're going to see 3 teams from the AFC North make it in. 3 teams from the AFC North make it into the playoffs. The Broncos make it in. Actually, let me fix that because I forgot. I have to edit this playoff team. Yes, so that is right. So the Broncos make it in at 7. The Broncos make it in at 7. The Steelers make it in at 6. I think Aaron Rodgers gets one more crack at that Super Bowl apple, and I think he just sneaks in. The Bengals make it in at 4. The Bengals make it in at 5 as that 5 seed. I think they steal one maybe from the Chargers. I think the Chargers, they struggle down the stretch of the season. And then obviously Texans at 4, Chiefs at 3, Bills at 2, the Ravens at 1. Now, everybody says, well, why'd you pick the Chiefs at 3? I picked Kansas City at 3 because I think they're not going to be that good of a team that they've been in the last 3 years. And I think at some point, fatigue's got to happen. Fatigue's got to happen for this Chiefs team. It's got to. There's no way you can go 3 for a 4th straight season to a Super Bowl, and win. Like, I just don't see it happening. And also, too, Travis Kelce looked old, and he just didn't look really that good in the Super Bowl. You look at it, they don't have pass catchers. Their top pass catcher, Rashee Rice, is going to be suspended for the first 6 games. How is that going to fare? You know, who are they going to have to back up Rashee Rice? They have Xavier Worthy, who's very good, who's a good speedy guy, but they don't have anybody else. Who are they going to have? Who are they going to have to throw other than Kelce and Worthy? So I have the Chiefs at 3, the Bills at 2, and the Ravens at 1. I think the Bills, they could make some noise down the stretch. They could switch from a 2 to maybe a 1. But for right now, Buffalo's number 2. Baltimore's just the more complete team. They are way better in terms of talent. And Lamar Jackson. You got Lamar Jackson right there at quarterback. When you have Lamar Jackson on your team, anything's possible. Anything is possible. So it to me, like, so for like anything, it does bode a lot of confidence if you're a Ravens fan. If you're a Ravens fan listening to this, bodes a lot of confidence for you Ravens fans out there, for the Ravens flock. Now, will they win the Super Bowl? Will they make it to the Super Bowl? Find out in a sec here with this playoff bracket from the NFC. So the NFC is a little bit more straightforward. There's probably going to be 2 teams from 2 divisions, two teams from actually each division. The Eagles, the Falcons make it in. The Falcons kind of sneak in at 6. Not at 6, at 7. The Niners sneak in at 6. I said earlier that they, because of their strength of schedule, probably will play better than their schedule, and I do see them making the playoffs. Do I see them making a deep run in the playoffs? I don't know. It's 50-50 with this Niners team. Then number 5, I had the Vikings. I think Minnesota's going to do well. I think they're going to be a good team. I originally had Minnesota when I was doing this playoff bracket. I had them as the 2 seed. I had them as the 2 seed. I had them in the same situation last year where it's kind of a race down the stretch to see who gets that 2 seed or who gets that 1 seed and who gets the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But unfortunately, this past year, unfortunately with the Micah Parsons trade now happening, Green Bay just kind of leapfrogged them in a big way. I still have them making the playoffs. I still have them as a 5 seed. I think their defense is really good with Brian Flores there and how they went and doubled down on the defensive line. I still think they're a really good team on the defensive side. That's going to be the big key to what makes this team a playoff team. Number 4, I had the Bucks. Tampa wins the division. Atlanta, I think, does sneak in. I do think they sneak in. The only reason I say that they sneak in is they potentially could steal a game from the Commanders. I would say yes, maybe the Commanders do make the playoffs. But here we've had this same situation where, like with the Texans, Jaden Daniels, with CJ Stroud, they get CJ Stroud. He has an incredible rookie year. And then, okay, now we need to load the roster up with everybody. I don't think that's the case with the Commanders here. And keep in mind, midseason, I may make this change. I may be wrong on this with this midseason change. But Atlanta right now kind of, I think, surprises people and makes it in. It also depends on, too, if Michael Penix can deliver. Also depends on if Michael Penix can deliver and can get to the playoffs with this Falcons team. He's now got a full regular season on his plate. He had about 3 games to try and get to the postseason, so not a very good sample size for Michael Penix, and I still don't know what the heck the Falcons were doing when they made that move to begin with. Still don't know. So Atlanta gets the 7 seed there. But the number 1 seed, the Eagles, the 3 seed, the Rams. I think the Rams do get that 3 seed. I think they'll get to host a playoff game in LA. I think maybe if Green Bay loses, or if Green Bay loses, Philadelphia loses, they could potentially host 2 more playoff games. Maybe 2 playoff games, maybe an extra playoff game. I think the Rams are right in that middle there, where they're better than the Bucs, but they're not as good as the Packers, and they're certainly not as good as the Eagles. Now that's completely different though, because you look at last year. I could be completely wrong, because last year they played a Eagles team that was way better than the Rams, and they somehow found a way to almost win that game in the snow against the Rams, or against the Eagles. So don't be surprised if the Rams kind of sneak up on people. Green Bay at number 2, Philadelphia at number 1, as I said earlier. I think Green Bay, because of the Micah Parsons trade, they got bumped up. They got bumped up so much to where now I think it's the Eagles and the Packers. It's one of these 2 teams that's competing for a chance to win the NFC. The Eagles have a very complete team. The Packers also have a really good and very complete team. Philadelphia, I think, edges out that 1 seed just a little bit more. I think they have the better offensive line. I think their defense is a little bit better. And frankly, like, you look at it, Green Bay has to show something this year. And if they don't, it's not going to look good for the next few years. So Eagles, number 1 seed in my mind. All right. Now, Super Bowl predictions here. Obviously, the big one this year, I believe this year's Super Bowl, who is going to be the winner? Who is going to be the champion? Who is going to be the one that's going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy? The Green Bay Packers hoisted over the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore does make it to the Super Bowl. They do make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't think that they pull out the win over Green Bay. I think since this is Lamar Jackson's first Super Bowl, he's gonna have some moments. He's gonna flash. He's gonna struggle. And I think Green Bay, with the Micah Parsons deal, Micah Parsons, man, it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off. And I think they feast on the Baltimore Ravens. I think they feast on that Ravens offensive line. I see Green Bay bringing back their 5th title to title town this season. So congrats to the Green Bay Packers. You guys are the winners here for the Super Bowl predictions. Now that could potentially change, because we do mid-season picks. We can keep or dump our picks and start all over and see, now that things have changed, who's at the top. So we'll talk more about that. But now on to our first Pigskin Primetime picks of the season. And our Pigskin Primetime picks, the last 3 seasons we've done these. These have been very fun to do. This year we're not doing it with a co-host here on our show, so it's just going to be me, at least for the time being. Maybe we'll have guests on as well to kind of lighten it a bit and kind of make it interesting, kind of make it competitive. But for right now, we stick with our pigskin picks. We're going to start with our first pigskin pick here. And it starts on Thursday, the Eagles versus the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys kind of coming in to start this year. They don't have Micah Parsons now. He's with Green Bay. They have Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach. The team has been lost, it looks like, before the ball's even kicked off. Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions after a dominating regular season performance. Dominating regular season performance, dominating playoff performance, and a dominating Super Bowl. They play the Dallas Cowboys. I have this one being kind of a blowout. Eagles by 14. I don't see how this game does not end in a blowout. I just don't know how this game does not end in a blowout, how this game does not end in disappointment for the Cowboys and in what could be potentially a long season for Dallas. So that's my pick. Eagles over Cowboys. Eagles by 14. Now on to our Brazil game, our Friday game. The Chiefs versus the Chargers. This is in Brazil. I have a bit of a shocker here in this one. I got the LA Chargers winning this game by 3. I think Jim Harbaugh is slowly got the ground raid figured out. I think he's finally figuring out how to get these pieces all to work. He drafted Amarian Hampton, and he has Najee Harris as his back, and he's got Justin Herbert as his quarterback. I think this Chargers team is going to shock some people in week 1. I think they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Brazil. I think they beat them by 3. It's going to be an ugly game. This is going to be one of those games that is not going to be very pleasing to the eyes because of what happened last year. Now, last year was a shootout in Brazil, but the field conditions were terrible. Everybody was slipping. Jordan Love had an injury that costed him 3 weeks to miss because of Brazil and because of that field. So I see this game potentially getting very sloppy. I think the Chargers make it. I think the Chargers and Chiefs make it close. I have the Chargers winning it by 3 over Kansas City to start the year, and that is a big win for the LA Chargers. Now moving on to Sunday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Sunday Night Football. Last year when these two teams met in the playoffs, the Ravens were 1 catch away from potentially going to play in Arrowhead next week. And Mark Andrews dropped the ball. Now, fast forward, last year at Ralph Wilson Stadium at New Era Field in Buffalo. The Bills are going to have a brand new stadium next year. This year is their last year in that stadium, and for any NFL opposing team, it's a sign of hoorays and hurrahs. This game, I got the Ravens winning by 3. I think they stun a Buffalo Bills crowd in New Era Field and in Ralph Wilson Stadium. I think they stun them. I think they win by 3. I think Lamar plays really well. I think the Ravens have themselves a really good game. I think Josh Allen does well, but I got the Bills winning this game by 3 over the Ravens. It'll be really close. And this game could potentially happen again in January, fast forwarding into January. Now, the final one, Minnesota Vikings at Chicago Bears. This game, every time I watch a Vikings game or a Vikings and Bears game, per se, to be more specific, it's always hilarious. It's always funny television. It's always funny football to watch. I don't know why. I don't know how, but it's always something funny when these two teams play, whether it be a blowout or whether it be a close game. Something wild happens in this game for no certain reason, and it just always adds up to being something memorable. This case for the Vikings and this case for the Bears both have a new piece to their team, a new head coach for the Chicago Bears in Ben Johnson, and a new quarterback for the Vikings in J.J. McCarthy. How is J.J. McCarthy going to fare in this game against the Chicago Bears? How is Caleb Williams going to fare with Ben Johnson? I don't think too well. We are at this point now, Bears fans. The offseason Super Bowl and offseason playoffs is over, and now you have to get started for the regular season, and it's not going to look pretty. It's not. It's not going to look pretty at all. I have Minnesota winning this game by 10. It is at Soldier Field, so that crowd might be loud, but I have J.J. McCarthy winning this one. I think he does well. I think he shows out, and I think he starts off his career with a W here for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't want to say the words yet, but they start with an S and a K. So they'll get the win there in Chicago. And with that, that does it for us here on Snap the Pigskin. Watch Snap the Pigskin on youtube.com/@snapthepigskin or listen wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and much more. You can find us on our YouTube channel. And once again, be sure to give us a like and a subscribe to the channel. Be sure to come back for more episodes. Every week we give you NFL coverage and break down NFL news every single gosh darn week. And with that, I am Noah Clark. Thank you all for listening. Get ready for week 1 of the NFL season. It's going to be a blast, and we hope that you enjoy it all. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.